Hey guys, this is Alan and I'm here in Stockholm, Sweden at the Vasa Museum today. And what I want to talk to you about is why it's okay to fail and why you should be sailing close to the wind. Alright, so the ship behind me was built in the 17th century by King Gustavus Adolphus, and he built this ship to be the flagship of his new Royal Navy. And after getting out of port, the ship actually sank within 1,200 meters of actually setting sail. And the reason I wanted to do this video in front of the ship today is that, you know, this ship completely failed. But the next ship that the Swedes built, they built it with a much more reliable design. This ship literally sailed too close to the wind and keeled over, took on water, and collapsed because it was too narrow. And the next ship the Swedes built, they didn't make that mistake again. They sorted it out, they solved it, and that failure really helped them to build a navy that became one of the maritime powers and sealed Sweden's place in Europe as one of the great military powers. Yeah, and the King Adolphus actually became known as the Great, King Gustavus Adolphus the Great, and he became known as the founder of Sweden as a real military power. Okay, so the reason I think there's three reasons that I want to talk to you about today that are the reasons why I think failure is good and it's something that you should embrace and see as an opportunity. Okay, and the first reason is that you know, failure, when you're risking failure, you're really pushing yourself to the edge of your comfort zone. So when you are risking failure, you are pushing yourself to the limit of your ability. Your brain is really engaged, and you can actually slip into a state that the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi actually calls flow. So once you're in that state, that is actually a state of optimal mental performance, and you can find that once you're in that state, you'll find that you're in a state of what's called super learning, and it's much easier to actually improve your ability. You will actually learn much quicker in that state. And there are a few prerequisites for falling into a state of flow, but the key one is that you're actually at the edge of your ability. You're not doing something that's far too hard for you that you know you're absolutely going to fail at, but you're doing something that's really challenging you and you're really risking failure, and it forces you to be completely mentally engaged, and that pushes you to the edge of your comfort zone. And it really gets your brain engaged and building new connections and you know, pushing the limits of your brain and your brain's capability. All right, the second reason I think that risking failure and sailing close to the wind is a really powerful learning technique is because when you are risking failure, or when you actually fail, that's really powerful emotionally. It has a lot of emotional resonance. So a lot of people don't take risks, and they don't they avoid tests and trials, they avoid things like that because failure is really painful, and it's painful to the ego to fail. But when you're actually pushing yourself and failing, what you'll find is that that has although it is painful, it has a real benefit because that pain will actually ingrain in your brain what you did wrong. So as long as you know what you did wrong, you're going to remember that. So really, it's really going to impact your memory, and it's really going to mean that you don't make that mistake. 9 times out of 10, you don't make that mistake again. So I really say, don't be afraid to take the pain of failure. It's something that's really powerful, and it's going to mean that you're really going to remember that lesson for the future. Okay, and the third reason I think that failure is really important is that failure is a really healthy. It can be a really healthy tool for you to kind of get a little bit of humility to temper a sense of endeavour or a sense of can-do attitude. So I think although I advocate having a really positive attitude towards things and to stretch yourself and challenge yourself whenever you can, I think that it's good to nuance that a little bit with a sense of realism, and I think failure can give you that. So if you failed recently, you're going to really think twice about overcommitting, and it's going to what it's going to do is it's going to help you not to catastrophically overcommit to things, overpromise things in a way that's really going to be detrimental to you. So what I'd really say is to make sure that you properly, you know, take a failure as a tool to breed that humility that you need to just temper that positive attitude. Okay, so I guess that's all I want to speak to you about today, and I just want to leave you guys with you know, the lesson of Gustavus Adolphus the Great, you know, who built this ship, and it completely failed in a spectacular way, but he went on to actually be one of the most revered generals in history, and Napoleon and Karl von Clausewitz actually, you know, called him one of the greatest generals in history. So I'd really say, don't be afraid to sail close to the wind, and don't be afraid to fail. View failure as a positive opportunity.